Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to your Lunch Break Live. My name is Ivana Harinkyu if you are new here or if you've just forgotten about me after a week of vacation, and thank you for coming back. Today, I am joined by our AL.com reporter, Greg Garrison, and today we're going to talk about something kind of fun and also something that we can look forward to. We're not going to talk about something that has happened in the past, as we often do, and that is today being 1 month away from the World Games in Birmingham. Now, if you have even traveled into Alabama over the past couple of months, you might have seen that there are signs when you enter the state saying that Alabama is the home of the World Games for 2022. We know, again, the World Games have been pushed back a little bit because of COVID, but they're finally here. Kickoff 1 month from today in Birmingham and across the Birmingham metro region. Now, Greg has been kind of covering the World Games and also covering the anticipation for them since they have been delayed for over a year now. So, Greg, there's a lot coming up that I know we still have yet to learn. This is a new thing for Birmingham and also just for the World Games in general. A lot of people just now learning about them. But we do know that there's some news rather about ticket sales and how you can come to see the events at the World Games. So tell us about these new day passes, and then we'll get into some questions and other kind of frequently asked things about the World Games.
Okay, the World Games starts in 1 month from today. So today's June the 7th. World Games start July the 7th. And they announced this week that you can buy a day pass to attend multiple events on one day. And those are $35, and they'll be available just through the end of June if you want to get those day passes. And there are 10 total days. It's the 7th through the 17th. So there'll be events going on for about 10 days. And all kinds of unusual sports. Some you would be familiar with, like flag football, that's easy to understand. And then some you may never have heard of like korfball, which is kind of like basketball with a super high goal and different rules from basketball. And there's established sports like softball, which will be one of the most popular sports. They're going to play that at the Hoover Met. And that will feature a couple of University of Alabama players or former players. Haley McClaney, who is an All-American at Alabama and is on the Olympic softball team. And then Montana Fouts is expected to be on the team also, who threw a no-hitter last year for the University of Alabama. So that's going to be one of the popular things. So you've got some known things like that. Then you've got sports you don't see as much, like lacrosse, which will be played over at UAB. The Iroquois Nation, which invented lacrosse, is going to have a team in that competition and competing against other countries. So this is kind of like the Olympics, like summer, winter Olympics, just different sports. And it's approved by the Olympic Committee. So it has kind of a similar theme. You can win gold, silver, bronze medals. It's Olympic level athletes. Some athletes who competed in Olympic Games will be eligible for this.
That I think is what was so interesting is you might not know that some of these people who will be competing in these World Games, they are not just people locally who are good at a certain sport, right? Like these are world-class athletes. These are oftentimes Olympic athletes or athletes who are on their way and will be trying out for the Olympics in the future. Now, something you mentioned I think that is really cool is this promotion for the day passes is just through the month of June. So just kind of a attempt at, again, getting people excited with it being 1 month until the World Games kicks off July 7th in Birmingham. Just that chance to get a day pass to go to any event at any of the 25, I believe, locations across the Birmingham metro where these events will be held. If you say, look, I'm going to take off a Wednesday and I want to go to sumo wrestling, to softball, and to orienteering, you can do all of those things with the day pass instead of having to buy a ticket as you have been for each event. Is that right, Greg?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's logistically, it's going to be hard to go from one venue to another because the venues are pretty far apart and across town. Like you've got the Crossplex in West Birmingham will be a venue. Sloss Furnace will be a venue for events like sport climbing. Down at the BJCC, they'll have all kinds of sports going on like sumo wrestling. The opening and closing events will be at the new Protective Life Stadium where we just had the Garth Brooks concert. So they'll have, the big, not the lighting of the torch, that's an Olympic thing, but they'll have like bringing in of national flags and so forth. They've sold tickets to people from 40 countries already. So you'll expect to see people coming in from different countries across the world. There will be teams from many different countries competing. So you'll have Team USA going up against, perhaps the Ukrainian team. The Russians have been banned because of the Russian aggression toward Ukraine. So the Russian athletes are not allowed in this competition, but they are hopeful that Ukrainian athletes will make it to compete.
Well, and also special for Ukrainian athletes, considering that Birmingham is a sister city to Venezia in Ukraine. And again, Birmingham also hosting the World Games. So just a connection there as well. And that's a good point, Greg. But you bring something up too that I want to touch back on. And that is the logistics of going from one location to another. If you are planning on doing something like a day pass and going, say, from Sloss or from Legion Field, from Protective to somewhere like an Oak Mountain. Now, I know that this has been something that is often talked about, right, for Protective, for the BJCC, and that is parking and transportation. Now, we know a lot of people went to the Garth Brooks concert over the weekend and have been talking about that parking down there. So, Greg, is there a plan for transportation? Is there a plan if you don't want to park your car? And if you do want to park your car, especially downtown at some of these venues that don't have ample parking, what are we going to do about that?
Yeah, they have a very sophisticated, detailed parking plan and transportation plan with public transportation available that'll run east, west, north, south. You'll have designated areas where you park your car, and then they want you to ride to your venues. The hub of the World Games is going to be around Protective Stadium and the BJCC. They're not going to allow parking anywhere near there. They want you to use these designated parking areas and ride the designated transportation to the various venues. So they've got a plan for that. That's on their website, which is www.twg for the World Games 2022.com. So everything is on that. The transportation plan. They've got the new Birmingham Express running from out at the Crossplex all the way to Woodlawn. And so there'll be buses going up 20th Street, across town, east to west, north-south arteries, all the public transportation we have, plus additional chartered buses that will be running designated routes and so forth.
So are they essentially encouraging this transportation plan you're talking about? Are they encouraging public transportation in these buses, both the city buses and the chartered buses, instead of driving to a location and parking?
Yeah. And, there will be events at places like, the Hoover Met. I mentioned the softball game. That's a place you could drive to. In general, most of the events will have arteries of traffic from designated parking spaces. So you kind of have to read up on that at their website and figure out what events you want to go. You got to look at the event schedule, figure out what you want to see, and pick an event, say sumo wrestling at the BJCC, and then figure out where you can park and ride to get in there. And then you buy tickets on their website, and they say ticket sales have been great. They've sold over 300,000 tickets. They expect the opening and closing ceremonies to be sold out. Closing ceremony has got, Lionel Richie and a bunch of musical headliners from Alabama, including the band Alabama.
The opening ceremony at last time I checked it was almost sold out. There were not a whole lot of seats at that opening ceremony, and a lot of them were spread out seats. So if you wanted to go with your family, if you wanted to go with your friends, it was hard to get several tickets all sitting next to each other, which I know a lot of times when we go with groups, right? That's what you want to do. I'm answering a couple of questions quickly before we move on, Greg, and that is somebody asked about the website, Alexis. So the website is TWG, so the World Games 2022. The numbers, so the years just in numbers, TWG2022.com.
That's right.
So, and we'll put that here in the comments as well. Now, somebody else mentioned about just not hearing much about the World Games. And again, they kick off on the 7th, July 7th, last through July 17th. And Greg, I know that we linked your story here about the day passes, which is a new promotion they just announced for the month of June, where you can pay, I believe you said $35 and get a pass for any event that day. But they are also selling tickets on that same website that we just mentioned. We also have a page on our website. We're going to leave a link here to that you can click on, and then as more stories, as we write more stories about the World Games, they'll automatically appear on that page. So if you're interested, if you're planning to go, you can bookmark that page, keep coming back to it. It will refresh with the latest information there. Greg, you mentioned sumo wrestling. That is one I have heard about so much that seems to be one of the most popular things, most anticipated events of the World Games. Again, over 3,600 athletes in over 34 sports, 100 countries, with the support of the International Olympic Committee. There's going to be a lot to go to. This is a huge thing for the city of Birmingham and also the surrounding cities, just for their hotels and their other hospitality businesses. Greg, what are you most looking forward to? What sport are you most looking forward to checking out from the World Games?
I think sumo sounds the most interesting to me. I'm kind of curious about korfball. Lacrosse is probably one of the most compelling sports. I think the hottest ticket's going to be softball, because you've got the name brand recognition of the Olympic Team USA Olympic team with a couple of University of Alabama players. That's going to be a hot ticket. But yeah, lacrosse at UAB, sumo at the BJCC, the sport climbing events, the speed climbing that they do, and they're going to have these interesting setups for that at Sloss Furnaces. That's going to be really popular, I think, especially for the younger people that are interested in the kind of new experimental sports. And a lot of these sports are being tested in our potential future Olympic sports. So
I have to say, I think I'm looking forward to the martial arts that they're going to have. I believe that's at the BJCC. I could be wrong. Again, check their information on their website for that. And also orienteering, which sounds kind of crazy, but I think that's one of my only talents in life is navigation. So I can relate with those athletes. I think that is going to be a really interesting thing, and that is at Oak Mountain. So again, Oak Mountain's got plenty of parking, just like the Crossplex as well. So maybe an easier one to attend if that's what you're looking to do. Greg, I know you're going to continue to keep up on these World Games for us, for AL.com, and keep us updated there. Again, 1 month till we kick off. I know we will have more coverage. You can click those links here in the comments for more and to keep up with all of our coverage. So, Greg, thank you for that. Make sure you get your day passes if you're interested, and we'll see you tomorrow.